We are live and back on YouTube and on iTunes and on Facebook and on www.nerdrotic.com. My name is Gary Buechler. I am one of your hosts for the Nerdrotic Podcast. We are recapping Expanse tonight.
You just froze on me. I'm sorry, but yes, your video just froze completely on me. Damn it.
You froze.
There we go. Yeah, so did you. You froze really bad too.
You froze. I'm plugged in. Okay, so I'm going to start that again. What's up, Dennis Bithoulkas in San Diego? How's it going?
I'm doing good. It's hot down here.
It's hot.
Yeah. I've actually got the windows open. I got the fan going, all that stuff.
Well, it is San Diego. Yeah, it's about to rain up here in San Francisco, California. So what up, Expanse fans? You are not here to hear about the weather. You are here about the solar storm of the Expanse, the space weather. That's a bad transition. Sorry. There was some three almost M-class flares on, the 3rd? And no coincidence, there was a major earthquake afterwards. That's always been one of my obsessions, that major earthquakes happen after solar flares. They are connected. So tonight's Expanse, Here There Be Dragons. Great episode, dude. It feels like that they got the speed back. We were getting a couple of filler episodes that were still very entertaining, but what really sold me on the first season was its pacing, and it feels like it got its pacing back this episode.
Yeah, I actually liked this episode. It was good. It started plugging some gaps and moving the story along.
Yeah, it did. And they're cramming a lot of the second book into this one too. And if you're not a book reader or listener, I highly recommend you check out the books. In a lot of ways they're better, but in a lot of ways the show is better. In some characterization, the show is better. Especially with Naomi, I feel she's a stronger character on the show. So it starts out with Holden and crew. We are continuing walking through the catacombs of Ganymede. Yes, that's right. I said Ganymede. And they're looking for May, and it looks like they're hot on our trail. We start out with we see kind of where May has been going with Dr. Strickland. Now we don't know where the timeline is with this. I mean, they made it look like Prax is right behind her, but I don't think that's the case. But we got, and I don't want to bury the lead on this one, but they are experimenting on children with the proto-molecule. So do you think that these are just cold-blooded killers? Do you think these might be leftover protogen crew who's had their, who are sociopaths, kind of the magnet sociopaths, or do you think they're more of a greater good? I'm speaking of Dr. Strickland and his assistant.
Greater good because all the children that they were experimenting on were all children that had some kind of deficiency or some kind of problems, that kind of thing, growth problems, that kind of thing. And yes, they're also pretty horrible people too for experimenting on children. But yes, they in their minds they were looking at it as they were helping these kids who were going to die anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you do sell it like this proto-molecule is out there, we know it's on Venus doing something, and we don't know what it is, and it's going to wipe us all out, and we don't have a chance, and this is our only chance. If that is sold like that, I could totally see it happening. I don't condone it, but I can totally see it happening.
They're not even selling it that way. They're selling it as, we can control this proto-molecule, make it our own, and we can make it into a weapon, and we can use. And I know where they're going is they're saying we can use the people that are already broken, if you will, and turn them into better than they were and make them our weapons.
Yeah. And, I guess the way they see it is these kids are going to die anyway.
Yeah.
Let them die
So they
for
are
a
horrible
reason.
people, yes.
They're still freaking horrible people. I just, that's the hard part. And they do mention this in the books. It's like how, and that's why they did the sociopath thing. Is like, how could you get that many people to want to, you know, kill 1 million people on Eros, or, you know, or experiment on children? Did you go ahead and hire every psychopath and serial killer in the, you know, in the solar system? So I don't know what the motivation is with Strickland, and I'd like to see that. And if they use the same one from the book, then it's totally believable. You know, it's good. But that's, you know, some of the problems they have. But as we see Holden going further and further, and I'm glad they're really touching on this, because again, in the books, you can get into Holden's head and you understand like his complete, you know, utter fear of the protomolecule. It completely freaked him out. He's still got like a PTSD of what happened on Eros. He still can't believe he survived. You know, he's got cancer. He's got to take these cancer meds all the time. And it makes him irrational, but he is acting more and more like Miller. And there's definitely something to that. But not saying Miller acted irrationally. It's just, I don't think they're in their universe. They're not in his, where his headspace was at. They're not as jaded as him. And you can see Naomi is clearly having problems with it.
Well, Naomi's got her own secrets. I mean, she just let another secret fly during this episode.
Oh yeah. She dropped a bomb, huh?
Yeah. With Prax going, you don't know what it's like. You don't have any kids. You haven't lost a kid. She's like, yes, I did. I have a son that I was trying to find, and I had to deal with it and just realize that he's gone. And it's like, Jesus, woman, what do you got? You know, you got other stuff in the closet back there, you know, to drag out. And
well, she does, and they dropped that one really early. That is a revelation from the 5th book. So there might be some truth to the very sad rumor that this might only be going 3, hopefully 4 seasons. I'm if they can squeeze 4 seasons out of 12 monkeys, they can get 4 seasons out of this, unless of course there's a writer's strike, which would suck. But yeah, if they only do 3 seasons, God, that's just a shame. That's just a damn shame, because this story does get better as it goes on, and there's so much more to tell. They're just scratching the surface at this point. You know, and we only have 2 episodes left, and it looks like we're really going, you know. And I'm a little disappointed that they're cutting a lot of Avasarala's stuff out of the 2nd book, but I think they're saving it for next season, because she's not even in the 3rd book, and she wasn't in the 1st book. So they're kind of spreading her stuff out. And I do like how they're doing that, because that's a character you absolutely need. They couldn't like lose Miller and take her out. That would kill the show, in my opinion. We also have Bobbie Draper. And she fucking kicked ass this episode, and this is what I've been waiting for, you know, because she's a badass. And they really changed the Martin character in the book. He's a lot more sympathetic, and he's actually on her side. And then there's another character who's kind of like, so he's like an amalgamation of 2 characters, but more like the evil version. And they also you know, Mars is a little nicer in the books, but they're going for the weapon. And again, from a military standpoint, if I have no human emotions, I totally understand why they want to get the upper hand. They need to have some kind of upper hand on Earth, because Earth still has all the food and all the air and all the water. Well, not all the water. They can get water from, you know, Saturn and stuff, but definitely the air. That's a big thing. And they have to ship that to them and stuff. So she finds out that her crew was bait, basically was a test for this weapon, and they were just let out like lambs to the slaughter. And she was a little pissed off about that, and she beat the shit out of that dude.
They weren't lambs to the slaughter. What they were a promotional video, is what they
were. Yeah.
Because I mean, you have the voiceover going, see how our product takes out not only 6 UN soldiers, but also 4 Martian, highly trained Martian soldiers. And and it was just like, it was a total promo video for the protomolecule warrior.
Yeah, which was a little disgusting, but cool in the show. And again, totally believable, especially if you want to fast forward like what we do now in our time, 300 years. I can totally see it. I could totally see it. And the fact of the matter is that I think cat's out of the bag now that we know that these are the kids that they're testing. And, I don't know really what's in the head of these things, but they, when Holden and Prax, they're going through the little catacombs and they find a little vial that was from May's medication that she needs to take for her immune disorder. And so they know they're on the right trail, and they go down and they and they also have a skeleton key given to them by that guy that Amos almost killed with a can of chicken. And they were able to get in, and that's, when they meet, there's a crew sitting down eating pizza, and a lady's like, want some pizza, which was like, that was totally cool. and that's a little bit taken from the book too. And Prax sees what does he see? May's backpack, which
he sees
has little animated characters that come out. I thought that was really fucking cool, by the way. I thought that was a nice touch. And
which
Amos,
we've seen before, we saw it in the video. We saw her backpack, so we knew it was hers.
Yeah. I just didn't know it would have like little animated characters on it, which was cool. And Amos, not probably wisely at all, gives Prax a gun. So as any father would, freaks out completely when he sees May's backpack, and he's like, where's May? And somebody pops off a shot, and I think it was Prax, right?
No, the first one was actually one of the guys sitting closest to the door. He shoots from the ground. He's like starting to stand up and shoots, and that's when Amos goes, hey, and he shoots him.
Yep. And then Amos gets shot.
Shoots a couple he shoots a couple other guys, and Amos only gets shot because Prax is still standing there kind of in shock after he has shot a couple of people.
Yep.
And he's going to get shot by the shotgun of this one guy, and he pushes Prax out of the way, and he gets shot in the shoulder. And like he says, why am I the one who always gets shot?
Yeah, right. I know, it's messed up. Poor Amos. So, and then Prax notices another room and sees basically incubation chamber. Well, I don't know what to call it.
It looks like a suspended animation chamber.
Suspended animation chamber, and Prax goes in and notices there's a boy in there, and there's a tube stuck to him, and it's protomolecule. So the kid's not
frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen. So I don't know if he's dead or if they understand that the protomolecule can reanimate tissue, which they've proven it can do. And he freaks out, as he should. And Holden goes in, and they close it on up, and Holden incinerates the kid, like doesn't even think about it. Just does, I came here to do this, and Naomi,
the protomolecule. This is what I came here to do.
Yeah, and Naomi gets freaked out again. But you can't really blame him for doing that. I mean, yeah, it goes down to we don't know what makes Naomi tick at this point.
Yeah. Oh, also the kid that he incinerated was Katoa.
Yes, was Bosch's son.
Is Bosch's son, the guy that we saw back in the dome, who tried beating the crap out of Prax when he first sees him.
Yeah, for bailing on him. So that was a pretty hardcore scene, and I loved how they were just jumping back and forth, and it didn't feel like there was any slow moments on this one at all. I need to go back and watch it again. I felt it was important that we do this podcast tonight. It wasn't important, but I just wanted to get it out. And I definitely want to go back and watch this one again. And we jump back to when Bobbie escapes. That was a cool little scene where they have the shot from up above, and it shows her leaving the Martian embassy, and you see the red line and the blue line, and the guy's chasing her, and they can't shoot because they're on Earth, and she gets a political asylum, which is a big change from the book. In the books, she's still with Mars, she's still a Marine, and Avasarala just convinces her to work for her, which was kind of hard to believe during all this whole thing. So I love the change where she's just like, F Mars.
Martin's basically told her, he said when she comes into the room and asks them, what happened to my team? Why, I want to know, is this something that you guys, let loose on us? And he basically says, you're going home. you're being stripped of rank. You're no longer a Marine. And that's when she just basically has it and goes back into his room again and beats the crap out of him in order to see the video of. She gets him to unlock the video of what happened to them, and he was the one flying the drone that was overhead that took all the video of them fighting.
Yeah, what a son of a bitch! And it's all for the good of Mars. And he's a pretty convincing zealot. Just for his planet, and believing all the propaganda. And I guess after Earth had taken advantage of him for we're 100 years into this conflict, or this boiling, rising conflict. So again, that wasn't like too unbelievable, and it wasn't unbelievable that she could kick his ass. That was awesome. That was like really well done, I thought. And he well
then her
deserved.
getting out. I mean, her hauling ass and getting out of there. I mean, she starts walking out and she's like, "Oh, the captain needs you," and she knocks out one guard, and then she just starts walking out, and she's walking a little bit faster and a little faster, and the third guard comes out because there's two guards that are standing outside already. And the third guard goes, "Hey, stop her!" And that's when she just starts full on booking for the UN embassy.
Yep, and right to our friend Chris Jen. And then we get, and I was interrupted twice while I was trying to watch this. Pierre Mao basically asked for what, asylum?
No, he doesn't ask for asylum. He asked for a meeting.
A meeting. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I got interrupted at this point. I caught the last part of his demands. He's like, "You're only going to get this once. We're going to meet." And I guess he wants to talk to her about the protomolecule, or at least they think that. It's obviously a trap, right?
Well, he wants it to be on a ship of his choice, which more than likely means the Rossi's going to be involved.
Yep.
At this point. And she says it's not a trap. Her agent, the security agent, Kotyar, yeah. He is saying, "Oh, it's definitely a trap." And she goes, "Well, you think everything's a trap." And, because she's showing him the video.
Yep.
And she just finally lets him know, "Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm just showing you the video as a courtesy because I already accepted it an hour ago."
Yep. That part I caught. Okay. And again, that's from the book. That's more of an interesting change. And I think it was just due to editing. Because in the book, Earnhardt is still a player in this game, and he's with Pierre Mao instead of being pretty much the lamb let out the slaughter that he is. I still think he's got something up his sleeve, though, that's going to screw Christian over totally. Not sure what it is yet, but this might be part of it, like getting her out of the picture, getting her on that ship. I mean, that's crazy, especially agreeing to it. I wonder if Bobbie's going to go with her. Yeah, and possibly. I wonder if they're going to meet the Rocinante. Somehow I get the feeling all of our characters are going to converge at the end, and that'll be cool. That'll be very interesting.
Well, we also have what's going on Venus.
Yes,
with them sending down probes, and every time they send out a probe, the probe disintegrates. So they've sent down 6 probes. Mars is just circling Venus like crazy, as well as Ganymede. We'll get to Ganymede in a moment.
Yep.
And the scientist in charge, Dr. Michael Uturbi, decides to meld 2 probes into one because they only have 2 probes left, giving it more shielding so it can get down to the surface. It does make it to the surface, and him and Colonel Janus are both watching, and they catch a glimpse of what's on the surface.
Yeah.
Which is basically a gigantic mountain of protomolecule.
Yeah, and it's building something. You could see the crater from where Eros hit, and there's something rising in the middle. Couldn't tell you what it is. It just looks like a stalactite or stalagmite, whatever is the one from the bottom.
It looked like a building. It looked like a couple buildings to me.
You think so? You think it looked like a structure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at it, but they only showed it for like about 4 seconds, and then it popped it off.
Yeah, well, then they switched over to the video, what they were watching, and their video feed went went out, and Colonel Janus is like, "What the hell is that?"
Yep.
That's pretty much all we got from Venus.
No, and I don't have a good feeling about that. I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling about it too.
Yeah.
And then we have what's going on around Ganymede is we have the Mars Navy that's basically circling around here, and they've said, okay, no one can land, and except for this one ship. And the one ship isn't, going down to the Ganymede docks. It actually lands on Ganymede, like away from the docks.
Yeah, like in the middle of
out on
nowhere.
the surface.
Yep.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. And so Alex is going, what the hell? And he decides, you know what? I'm going to come and rescue the guys. I'm going to land in the same spot as well. And he has to get around this, without being found by using thrusters only. And
Yep.
he navigates, or he has the computer, the AI navigate slingshots all around the moons, the Jovian moons, to get there, which is really kind of cool. I liked how they showed the inertia as he's going through, and he's just, kind of shifting, go, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, as he's going through. And he almost gets caught.
Yeah. Because Martian ships don't automatically recognize other Martian ships as threats.
Yeah, yeah. And and the moons can hide other ships as well as his own, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, and remember that one, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that if you're like, say, a UN ship, you're not going to recognize another UN ship as a threat. So they don't waste anything in shows. They always plant. It's called, it's a foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, yes.
Foreshadowing. So I sense some major foreshadowing right there. I thought it was I want to go to there was a little promo, and it could have been nothing. But there was a little promo right before The Expanse. It was like, now a new episode of The Expanse, and I was watching it live on Sci-Fi, and they showed Miller. And I thought, maybe it was just like some old, sizzle reel that they were using, or I don't know. Like I just said, they don't waste anything. They did show us a shot. It could be a flashback. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Yes, we do miss Miller, but back down on Ganymede, Alex, he does his little slingshot move, and I love that the little moment where he's looking at the three moons. I don't know. Was he next to Europa? Looked like Europa, maybe.
No, he was. He's basically.
What's the ice world? He was.
I think he's between Mars and he might have been near Europa, but he got to see a whole bunch of moons that were lined up in a line.
Yeah, lined up perfectly. That was cool. And so, Holden, while back to Holden, while they were in their little pizza room and kind of going over the carnage that they made, and some people did get away.
Yeah, they get into another room, and it was kind of weird that it took them that long. I mean, they're in the other room, and like Holden and company are going through, and they get a chance to incinerate a child, and bind up Amos's wound and everything. And then all of a sudden the door opens up just a little bit, and a grenade comes in, and Amos is like, grenade, and he just goes, grabs it, opens the door again, and throws it back in and shuts the door.
I know, right?
Which I thought was kind of funny. It was just kind of one of those weird, like, really, did he just do that? Because didn't they lock the door behind them, or what? You hear the grenade go off, and then you hear all kinds of gunfire start behind the door, and they're all looking at each other like, what the hell?
Oh, you hear screaming.
Yeah,
alarms, and like you hear the Hulk, in there, and like a bunch of banging, and
then you hear like the whoosh of air because there's some kind of a vacuum going on.
Yeah, they show through a vent.
Yeah,
and then total silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was like, oh shit. And I've been actually looking forward to that scene. And they go into the next room, and there's carnage. They kind of toned it down a bit for the TV show because they're supposed to be like entrails everywhere and heads, and nothing is like together, we'll just say. But they get in there, and they notice there's like a glass chamber with a chair in it that was obviously another one of those
things.
Yeah. So, and it was busted out, and at first Amos thought it was the grenade, but then you could tell that something busted out of there. And then he looks out the airlock, and like the whole airlock has just been ripped open. And I guess that secondary door closes once the outside door gets compromised. And that was that vacuum we were talking about. So obviously our little blue meanie got out there. But then, who pops up? Alex.
Alex shows up in a vac suit. Yeah. And he's like, and I love the scene. He comes up there and he goes, Man, how did you get shot again?
I know, right? Dude, those two are not together enough.
Yeah, they need to be together. We talked about this before. They need to have their own show.
They really do. I don't know, just a guy like that with an Indian accent, or not Indian, with the Texas accent, and Indian. Wow, I was politically incorrect. Sorry. A guy with the. I just love the the Mariner Valley Martians, where there was a in Mariner Valley in on Mars. That's where the Pakistanis and the Indians from India all migrated, and I guess a small group from Texas migrated there too, but the drawl kicked in with everybody. So you've got these Pakistani guys with like this just Texas drawl, and they all like country music and stuff. I freaking love that. That's funny as hell. And it's only from that like one part of Mars. It's so that was pretty cool. And they go into the book a little bit, like Gunny's accent, is partial to where she's from in Mars too. So like I said, read the books. They're a nice enhancement, and they really made my road trip. You know what? We didn't fight, except for the sandstorm. We didn't fight once in hours, 40 plus hours in a car, because we listened to The Expanse. We listened to the entire first book and half of the second one, and it made the drive totally rad.
Nice.
So there, it was cool. So they figure out, and then we get another bomb dropped. Holden's like, "Fuck it, we're going after this shit right now." And Holden,
they see it out because Alex goes, "You guys might want to see this," and they see the warrior out there without the vac suit in the distance, and it's looking at him. He goes, "I think it's looking at us." And it's running away from them. It looks at them first, stops, and then it's kind of like it does a Bigfoot thing, and it just walks away and then runs.
The Patterson film, for the protomolecule Patterson film.
Exactly.
And instead of going after it, Naomi's like,
"I'm going to help people here." She goes,
fuck this. We can't beat this.
Oh, we also forgot the Ganymede station is basically shutting down. I mean, it is dead at this point, and systems are failing.
And we also forgot one more thing. There was the Strickland's doctor, the doctor he was with, who I don't know if she was named or not. Please correct us if she
Dr.
was.
Pizza is what I'm calling her.
Dr. Pizza, was dying, and she had a throat wound and wanted help. And then she probably would have talked, but Holden's like, "Why would I help you? You experiment on children." So I guess, and she wanted to use her final words to make a threat and to monologue a little bit, which helps us, the viewer, And she said, she's not, May's not the only one. There's going to be a lot more of these.
Yeah.
And then she dies. So she admits that they were, experimenting on children with the protomolecule, and she thinks they can control it. The key word is thinks.
We made them in our image, as she says.
Yes.
And we control that image, and we control them.
Yeah, so they think.
Yeah.
And Naomi freaks out.
And the Black Ops ship, by the way, is there in that location specifically to pick up. It was there to pick up the protomolecule warriors. So it's getting one at least,
Well, I mean, can my question is, can they get it once it's out of its containment? How well can they control these things? Because it just slaughtered a bunch of people. So I'm thinking it's kind of out on its own right now. And, Holden wants to go after it. And Naomi's like, "I can't do this anymore." And she bails. She goes to help people. It wasn't, really out of cowardice. Actually, it was more of, like, we can't beat this thing. It's too big for us. And
it's already out there. And there's no way of stopping it. She goes, so we just have to do what we can while we're here. And that's why she decides to go back to the Weeping Somnambulist and help that pilot load as many people as possible on board the ship and get the hell out.
Yep. And she takes Amos.
Well, actually, Holden says, "Take Amos with you for muscle." For security.
And he goes, and Amos, of course, is going to go with Naomi, and they have a little goodbye kiss, and it looks like the crew of the Rocinante's breaking up.
Yeah. He was even going to send Prax with them too. And
Yeah,
Prax
he
said,
was.
hell no, I'm going with you.
So it looks like it's Holden, Alex, and Prax, and we're getting our Empire Strikes Back moment. Everybody's splitting up, and then we've got a couple of more people converging, possibly on Ganymede. I'm pretty sure that Avasarala and Bobbie are gonna be on their way to Ganymede, and Kochiar too. He'll be along. That should be fun. Kochiar and Bobbie. We don't get enough of Kochiar. I think he's actually pretty funny. And I'd like to see more of him. So
I like the actor when he was on Spartacus and he played the little weasel dude.
Yeah,
on Spartacus. So I'm sure if he played a little more weaselly, like for this character, I think we kind of.
It's funny. He played the little weasel guy on Spartacus, but you look at the guy and he's big. At least he looks big on the show.
A huge guy.
Yeah. So
he's as big as the guy who played Crixus, who was on Arrow as Deathstroke.
Yeah,
and I've seen that guy in person. He's like 6'5".
Yeah. Hey, big Spartacus fans. We are big. If you don't know, Dennis and I, while we disagree on some stuff, we are the biggest Sam Raimi, freaking Xena, Spartacus, and pretty much every Drag Me to Hell. Oh, and a little show called Ash versus Evil Dead, which is probably our second most watched podcast, is our recap for that. Which will be back this October, and Dennis and I will be back for that. We love Ash. So anything Spartacus, we geek out over. As a matter of fact, I'd love to do a DVD vault on Spartacus on you.
Yeah, especially the first season with Andy.
Oh my god, it was so good.
And I told you I saw Andy, at Comic-Con.
Yeah, you told me.
And he was in remission at the time. Yeah, I mean, it's sad. Every time I think about it, it makes me sad. So
yeah, think about it. If you don't know, the actor for season 1 of Spartacus passed away from Hodgkin's disease. Very sad, very sad. But back to Expanse real quick. So that's where it pretty much ends. Naomi leaves, and Holden sees the blue meanie. I'm just going to call it the blue meanie out there, who could be a kid, which is like fucked up on so many levels. And he said, "Let's go hunting," and that's kind of where we go. We're going out in a hunt, and we got the scenes which they don't usually show on Sling, so I watch it on Sling. Can't recommend Sling. It freezes up too much, and it's got its moments, and it's cheap. But if you're gonna cord cut, I would try like something else. But
we got TV now isn't much better, but it's got more channels. That's all.
It is, and it's probably consistent. Sling is like sometimes it won't show Expanse, and sometimes it will. So we saw the scenes, and it looks Avasarala and we saw Bobbie with her, heavy, and it looks like they are going to get on a ship and go to Ganymede. So I'm looking forward to that. A 3-hour cruise. Hang on, my other camera just went off. There we go. Sorry. And I think they're going to kind of hold it close to the vest, because I know a little bit what's going to happen from reading the books. I do not know how they're going to end it. They've made a lot of changes. What they've done is like they've tried to put everything in from the books, but it's just in like little moments, which is really well done. Really well done. Like I said, that's why it's like kind of an even. I don't know. It's even. I enjoy them both differently. And the book is better in some aspects, and the show is better than other aspects. I think, honestly, I mean, hats off to Sci-Fi for doing what they've done so far with this. I don't want to put them down. I know they have budget limitations, but I think this show would be better served somewhere else, to be honest with you, with more time to tell more story. The effects are actually one thing I have no problem with whatsoever. They are top notch for a TV show.
I love that they actually do science in it too. I mean,
yeah. Oh no, that's I think that's what sells me on the show. Yeah, I think that's actually the most unique thing about the show, and it's not the only show that has done science.
No.
But it's the one show that's actually incorporated everything. It's like we've got a little bit of the Firefly, great characterization with the science. A lot of the shows with the hardcore science get really sterile, and this one's not sterile, and they are dealing with an alien life, like Firefly didn't have aliens, but an intelligent form of alien life. But technically we haven't seen any alien life. We've seen proof of it. The protomolecule is not life. It is a thing. It is a tool.
Yeah.
We have yet to see the aliens. I don't know if we will. They are ancient aliens. We know that. But we still don't know what the protomolecule was put there for. We don't know why, but we will get answers out there, and they may change them from the books. I don't know. That's
So
what
are you
thinking
saying the
watching
truth
it.
is out there?
I'm saying the truth is out there, and I want to believe, Dennis, especially after a Roswell trip, a trip out in the California desert. I didn't see a single UFO, though.
Not
I
that
was a
you
little
remember.
disappointed. Not that I remember, but I am missing some time. Oh, it was
And
the
your ass
80s and all
hurts,
the
right?
drugs I did. Yeah, my ass hurts. I have to sleep on my side right now. We've only got 2 more episodes, and Melissa will be joining us for the final 2. We will be doing these on Wednesday nights. We do have some other podcasts we'd like you to check out. First and foremost, though, we'd like you to go to iTunes and subscribe to us on iTunes. And just all you have to do is go to your iTunes software, which you can do on Android too, and search Nerdrotic or Nerdrotic Podcast. But just putting in the word Nerdrotic will get our podcast up. There's actually 2 separate feeds. Join either one. Doesn't matter. We will be separating feeds for separate podcasts. Right now, it might be a little confusing for you folks because we throw everything on one feed, but that is going to change soon. The best place to go is our website, which is www.nerdrotic.com, and that's where all of our videos and our podcasts are up to date. That's the first place our podcasts go before they go to iTunes and everything else. And you can just subscribe right there. You can join the website. It's part of WordPress. So you can just sign up right there, comment, like, dislike, do what you like. Visit it often. We have 0 ads on our website. Can't say it's always going to be like that, but right now this is just a hobby, so you don't have to deal with that schlock. We also have a YouTube channel, which we've been building up over the last 8 months. It is the Nerdrotic channel. Just go ahead and search it on Google. We'll pop right up. Or if you just search Nerdrotic on Google, it will pop right up. We also have a Facebook page, which is the Nerdrotic Podcast. I have a Twitter. It's at Nerdrotics. Dennis, you have a Twitter?
I do. It's at DeForce, DAFORCE. John Reed has a Twitter as well. It's at John Reed 16. That's no H in there, so JON. And Melissa actually has a Twitter as well. It's at Agent Bossy Boots. So
yes, and if you're new to our show, we have been doing this for 3 years. Dennis and I are both former comic shop owners. John works in post in the entertainment industry. He's worked for Netflix. He's worked for Technicolor. He has worked for Deluxe. I have also worked in the post industry, well, in the entertainment industry and post for Technicolor and Ascent, which turned into Deluxe. Melissa is a hairstylist who has she's kind of a rock star in her field. So we've been around pop culture. We're all artists. All of us are artists and creative people, and this has been our life. So this is a passion, and we love to talk about this stuff. We will do this as long as we can. It doesn't cost us a lot of money, and it's basically started out as a hobby. Dennis and I started this because I had just sold my comic shop, and we needed something that, we needed an outlet for our creativity. And our very first podcast was done in a Starbucks in San Francisco. I'm going to repost that. It's actually it was a good podcast. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
and the thing is, we used to do this all the time in his comic book store. We used to talk for hours on end about stuff, and that's pretty much what this is. I know a lot of you out there, when you look, when you comment on our YouTube page, comment about how disjointed a lot of the stuff is. That's us. That's actually us just talking back and forth. We don't script any of this out. Our pre-production meetings maybe last all of 5 minutes beforehand before we talk about things. And yes, sometimes we don't remember names. That's why we have IMDb up on both of our screens so we can remember names and things like that. And yeah, we screw up every now and then, but that's what the charm is on our show.
Yeah, the whole concept of this podcast was a comic book shop conversation taken out of the comic book shop. This is basically what we did in my comic shop for hours. My shop was known for people hanging out for hours. And this, I'm always like, man, we should just put a microphone on the counter And that's how we started the We Have Issues podcast, which was the early incarnation of the Nerdrotic Podcast. We also have some podcasts with knowledge and people who can remember names, mostly done by John. He's got an interview up with Luke Passmore, who's worked with Bryan Singer and worked on many films, including Superman Returns and Trick or Treat. There's a 2-part interview on our website. Definitely check it out. It's really, really good. Dennis and I also recap Legion recently. We recapped the entire season of Westworld, last season's Game of Thrones, last season's Ash vs. Evil Dead. There is just tons of content. We also, our main podcast is basically a news podcast where that's the one where we meander and talk for hours.
Yeah. We'll go off on tangents on that. Yes, definitely. But we do have
many tangents.
We do actually write down a list on that one. That's
we do.
That's
that's right.
Detail as we get right there.
Yeah. So I mean, that's it. I'm sorry. We don't usually bore you with this much info about our website, but once in a great while, I just want to remind you all that we do this for fun, and we have a lot of fun.
Star Wars Rebels that we do. We also do the CW superhero shows. All of them. John and I get together whenever John catches up, and we do blocks of going after the episodes and relaying those to you. And I think Mel and I are going to do Colony. Colony's getting a season finale. Actually, I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow. So we're going to be wrapping up. Probably just do a season on that one. Just like a whole season overview.
Yeah.
And then we have 12 Monkeys coming up, and we just had iZombie start. So we're going to start iZombie as well. There's a lot of content out there.
There's a lot of content, and John just dropped. John and I both dropped about 7 podcasts because we were on vacation. So there's a lot of catching up to do. So please check us out. We appreciate your comments, and we appreciate your feedback, and we listen to your feedback, and we try to get better. And please correct us. I love that.
That's why Gary now says Ganymede instead of Ganymede.
There you go. Well, it's probably because you corrected me a bunch of time, but it's probably because I want a maid. It's probably because I'm, Soviet pig, and I just want a maid named Ganna. I don't know. Just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Dennis, take us out.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. We will see you next Wednesday on The Expanse. Good night.
Yep. Good night, everyone.